All right. Good day, everyone. Welcome to the Left-Handed Writer channel. So today, I'm just, I know it's been long I did a video. So I just want to talk about African philosophy versus European philosophy, or in short, let me say Afrocentrism versus Eurocentrism. Now, the question is, do you agree that Socrates and Orunmila can be compared when it comes to the discourse of philosophy? As we all know, Socrates is a reference in philosophy, or let me say in Eurocentric philosophy. There's most of Socrates' words are in form of dialectics, or should I say in form of dialogue rather, sorry. So dialogue means question and answer. But Orunmila, as we all know, is a reference in African philosophy, and majorly the Yoruba tribe in southwest Nigeria. Now, you might probably have heard in our blessed memory, the renowned Professor Sophie Oluwole, who have argued that there are similarities between Socrates and Orunmila. However, I beg to disagree. If we are talking about African philosophy to date, we realize that African philosophy still has to do with culture. It has to do with something related to tradition. Let me take, for instance, the concept of Ubuntu. Ubuntu is not even an agreed concept. Now, philosophy means what you can practice in reality. So if we ask ourselves a question, can everyone practice Orunmila philosophy in African perspective? Now, I'm one of the few individuals that believe that African philosophy is still not yet qualified to be a philosophy. What do I mean? The likes of Moses Akim Makinde have written books to prove that African philosophy can now stand on its own. But then let me also make reference to my very own Dr. Layi Oladipupo, who is a prominent African philosopher and has done a lot of works when it comes to research in African philosophy. Now, I'm not disputing that fact. Maybe it is a philosophy, but it is still in the realm of ethno-philosophy. Remember, Socrates' words were more like, Socrates, let's take, for instance, Socrates had a discussion with the sophists. Now, in their dialogue, you realize that it was not like a tradition. It was a situation of question and answer. Like, for instance, in the aspect of epistemology, or let me say back then when I was in school, when we did introduction to ancient Greek philosophy too. Now, we discover how Socrates was able to, even learn from the sophists. And he discovered that, okay, these people had knowledge, but the knowledge were, it was more or less like centralized knowledge. Now, there have been arguments that the real philosophy started in Africa, rather, that many scholars went down to Egypt to learn. The likes of Socrates, the likes of Thales, who postulated water as the foundation of everything, the likes of Anaximander, the likes of Anaximen. These are arguments, but I don't think there is for me, based on the research I've done, I don't think there are concrete evidence to present this. My argument here is that in European philosophy, in Eurocentric philosophy, you can actually argue. Now, you can argue what Immanuel Kant has said. You can argue what G.W.F. Hegel has said. And you remember, G.W.F. Hegel said African is not on the map of civilization. Now, if you're talking about culture, now I know the argument is, what is philosophy? Philosophy is a way of life. Then you want to ask, does African have a way of life? Yes. But can you argue African philosophy? Can you argue the concept, like the concept of Ori in African philosophy? Can you argue? Now, we have the likes of Professor Segun Ogungbemi, who also talks about the concept of death and unnatural death. Now, unnatural death for him has to do with witchcraft, sorcery. Now, can we argue this thing that why will a witchcraft kill somebody? Whereas in the US, maybe if a gun shooting occurs, now the argument will be who allowed gun in the first place? How did gun get into the hands of these people? Now, in the case of African philosophy, that is not even permissible at all. You cannot argue that fact. So this is the reason why I believe that African scholars, we need to come to a point where we have the likes of, let's say, for instance, my very own Dr. Lai Oladipupo, maybe we have Oladipupo School of Thought, or maybe we have Ogungbemi School of Thought, we have Pauline Otonji School of Thought. You realize that we don't have this argument yet, and as a result of that, I still believe that African philosophy has a very long way to go. There is still need for scholars to upgrade, where we can now start having, like we have the Kantian philosophy, Hegelian School of Thought, Socrates School of Thought, Platonian School of Thought, Aristotelian School of Thought. Now, until we have this where we can argue, and we don't need to make reference to say, okay, this is how it is done in our culture, this is how it is done in our culture. Until then, African philosophy still remains a controversy. Now, I don't know if you think I've made sense. What do you think? Do you think African philosophy exists? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I remain your favorite, the left-handed writer, until I come your way next time. Thank you very much.